Welcome to episode 68 of Think Big with Michael Zellner, all positive, no politics. My guest today is Amanda Baker. Amanda is the founder and brand storytelling director for Five Stories, which was started in July of 2018. Five Stories is a storytelling consultancy that helps brands connect more with the people they exist for. They work on strategic copywriting, storytelling, brand positioning, and visual identity. She lives in London, England, United Kingdom, but her business is everywhere. Welcome to the show, Amanda.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It just sounds really lovely to hear someone like give a little intro like that. It's just really nice. I'm like, oh yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Tell us something interesting about yourself that most people don't know.
That's really good. I love to whistle. I don't think many people know that I whistle. And I whistle because my granddad, who I had the privilege of growing up with when I was younger, he always used to whistle, and he always used to copy the birds, and I used to copy him. So yeah, I tend to find myself mainly when I'm walking, just going into a little whistle sing song. I don't know what I'm whistling, no idea, but anyway, there you go. Maybe I should be definitely never be a pro whistler, but maybe I can
Do you get weird looks sometimes if you're whistling and people are around, or just people just smile?
Do you know what? I don't really notice.
Good. You're in your own world when you do that. Good.
Yeah. I'm like, no, this is my moment. This is my moment to whistle, and yeah, I'm gonna whistle while I walk.
Awesome. As a child, you used to get your friends together to put on a show for your parents, and you sold tickets for the show to make some money. Tell us a little bit more about some of the fun things you did in your childhood.
Oh, my childhood was full of just, lots of play, lots of outdoorsy stuff, and getting into mischief. But also I just so when I was younger, I've always been a really creative person. So I always found myself wanting to create things from scratch, wanting to pull people together to do something, and whether it was to entertain or whether it was to just sell stuff, make stuff to sell stuff. So yeah, when I was younger, there was a phase of my life where I really I really wanted to be a professional singer and a professional dancer and all of that kind of stuff, and I wasn't very good at dancing, but I thought I was pretty good. Looking back now, I definitely wasn't. But I gave it a go, and I used to live in a place called Reading, which is just outside London, and behind my house there was like a little green, and this is where all the kids from the local neighborhood used to gather, and we used to come together every day to just like hang out and play games and yo-yos and pogs and all that kind of stuff. This is really like saying my age now, to be fair. I used to just like create like a little band basically, and I used to write my own songs, and then I used to go out and teach all of the neighborhood the songs, and then I used to like no idea why and how it all came together, but it did. And just create this band. Don't even know what the name was called, but I remember the song was called Party Boy, and no, I'm not going to sing it.
Yeah, I was going to say, can you sing it?
No, I do know the lyrics, but I'm definitely not going to sing it because it's no.
I loved yo-yos. Those were so much fun as a kid.
Pardon?
The yo-yos were awesome as a kid to play with.
Yo-yos were awesome, and the ones that went all these funky colors as well, they were so cool. But my brother was really good at playing with the yo-yos. I always used to get mine tangled up and get you really peed off.
Me too.
When you used to be like, why is it not looking as cool when you do the two and it just looks, it does all these cool things. I was definitely more of a Spice Girls, like collecting the photos and the photo albums and wanting to replicate, not replicate, but draw inspiration from the Spice Girls and the band, and write my own songs and also create my own band and moves. Yeah.
Sounds like you had a lot of fun. That's great.
I did have a lot of fun, yeah. And it got everyone together, I think when I look back at that, I was just like, what drove me to do that kind of stuff? What really inspired me to, go and like write songs, and then, come up with the beat and everything. And I don't even know what instruments I was playing. I don't even think there were any, but I'd like hum it and I'd get everyone moving to some sort of humming or whistling, I don't know. And yeah, it just all came together. And then we'd like put on this show, and we'd have some of the people doing the yo-yos, then we'd have like us coming out and doing our singing and dancing, and we'd have some other people doing some stuff. And yeah, it was good fun. But in my mind, I'm just like, what drove me to do that? But when I think back, I'm just like, I just really loved, I loved performing. I loved just getting people together for a purpose, for a reason to, and at that point I guess it was to share something, share passion, perform for our parents and make them proud. I don't know, maybe something along those lines.
I'm sure it was very entertaining for them. That's good. I'm glad you did that.
Me
So
too.
you went to college at Buckinghamshire New University, and you got your bachelor's degree in advertising in 2008. What were your college years like, and why did you choose advertising?
Oh, my college years, I guess, yeah, they were interesting. They were interesting. I've always wanted to do some sort of creative role, be in some sort of creative career. When I was really young, I didn't really know what that looked like, hence the experimenting with singing, dancing, writing music and whistling and everything else. And I guess like I knew from a really early age that I really love to draw. I really love to get messy with my hands. I was really inspired by, when I was really, really young, like Artist Hack, which is a show over here, used to be over here, Smart, and all these programs where the people who were presenting, they would make things and paper mache stuff and things like that. And yeah, paper mache pig was definitely one of my finest moments of creations, I think. And it was a pig that had a hole in it, so you could actually put like some money in it, so it's a pig bag. It was really great. My nan still got it. But yeah, the college years, I guess for me it was, I was just really trying to express myself, express my creativity, and figure out, what how can I turn all of this passion for creating stuff into, how can I make money from that? How can I actually go into the world and make some money? And advertising sort of was an idea for a career that sort of landed in my space around when I left school, went to college. So I was about 16, 17, about 17, 16, 17. And I was really just trying to figure out, what can I go to uni to do? Graphic design, that all sounded really interesting, but I was like, it doesn't feel enough. And I was really kind of interested in how do people, like, what makes people buy stuff? Like, what inspires people to buy things? Like, what, why do I go and buy coffee from Gales even though it tastes really good? Like, why do I have so much stuff that surrounds me, and why am I wearing this kind of hat, this brand, like all of that stuff? It's I find that really interesting. Like, what's the stuff that emotionally connects with people to inspire them to buy a certain product or a certain brand? So then there was this, my tutor at the time was just like, yeah, you should definitely go and learn about advertising. And I was like, oh, okay, that's new to me. I didn't really think about doing that, but okay, this sounds interesting. Found the uni, it was called Buckinghamshire Chilterns at the time, then it kind of rebranded to Bucks New Uni that you see today. And at the time it was the top 3 universities in the UK for advertising. And I mean, I had never even heard of a university course for advertisers. So I was like, okay, cool, got in. That was all great. And yeah, I guess you asked me how my years were. I mean, first year was really cool because I really got into it. You get to experience lots of different parts of the advertising world. You get to, I remember one of the tasks was come up with a new day. You have like birthday and things like that. And, you have like Mental Health Awareness Day and all these different days that represent certain things in the world that people can connect to and relate to. The brief was come up with a day that people can relate to. And I remember I was in my team and I was just like, no, we've got to do a day about cake. Like, it's a cake day. Like, and it won. It was great. But, that was the kind of stuff that we were doing in the first year. And then I had an injury where I was stabbed in a nightclub and nearly lost my life.
Oh my gosh.
And that completely just like changed everything for me. Just, I mean, it was nearly, yeah, had to drop out of uni. Luckily they let me continue, but I couldn't finish my year one. And yeah, it just that all kind of just really changed my experience of uni at that point, because I can, just, yeah, and my whole experience and of life, and how I looked at life, and how much gratitude I had for it as well. And that was kind of my lesson of my lesson of gratitude, for sure. But managed to get through that, like, painful, crazy time, and then started my second year. And at the time, because in year one you're on this path of, do you want to focus and specialize as a graphic designer, like to go and be a person that does the design side of things, so you get given the brief and then you actually do the visual design stuff, which I was kind of steering more towards, like the more art director visual stuff? Or do you want to go down the more advertising route? And at that point, traditionally you'd be in a team with someone else. So you have an art director, someone that was more of a visual creator, so they'd think about the visual side of an advert or of a campaign or something like that. And then you had the other person who's a copywriter, who would think about the words and the creative copy that would be used to pull people in and hold them. And I was really interested in, to be honest, I was interested in both. I really couldn't choose. I was like, I love both of it, I want to do both. But at that time, it was like, no, you can only be one or the other. And I was like, oh. Anyway, I was kind of forced down that road to do the kind of more copy side, because my injury was in my wrist, so I couldn't, and it was my right hand, and I couldn't actually, I kind of lost, I couldn't draw or anything like that. My ability to actually draw and do that kind of stuff with my hand kind of went for a little while. I've got it back now, by the way, so fine. But it kind of just got me thinking more about going into that more traditional advertising route. So yeah, I spent the 2 years of uni. After that first year, I spent 2 years of uni really specializing in advertising, and just learning the ropes and creating what you call is like, you basically create a portfolio with all these ideas for campaigns like Coca-Cola and Walkers and all of these cool big brands, and try and win a D&AD pencil and all that kind of stuff, which I never did, but hey, give it a go. And yeah, that's kind of, I'm just rambling now, so I'm gonna probably stop there.
You worked for a few different companies after college, and then in 2012 you decided to go in business for yourself, and you came up with the idea for an app for people to swap, lend, and borrow clothes with each other. And you said, quote, "I sacrificed my vision and I paid the price for it," unquote. You also said, "Suddenly who I was and what I stood for was gone," unquote. Tell us a little bit about what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's fast forwarding quite a bit. So I'll give a bit of backstory first. When I came out of uni, I really struggled to get into the world of advertising. I lived outside London. I didn't really, I funded uni myself. I had a part-time job while I was doing it. I was, a lot of my friends didn't. They were, they had a bit more financial support and backing from their parents. And a lot of them lived in London, so they had homes in London. I didn't, and they all, it was the financial shit show basically in 2008, and where everything just all fell apart. I'm sure you remember. And it was just the recession, and got made redundant from my placement, and also couldn't afford to work for free. And that was the thing. It was just like, if you worked for free, you could actually have a opportunity to get into an agency like Ogilvy or Saatchi and all of these kind of big companies that were literally my dream to work at back in the day, my absolute dream. And I just couldn't get in. I just couldn't get in, and I couldn't afford to work for free because I was broke. Didn't have any money. So I ended up working in a phone shop, selling mobile phones, which was really fun, but wasn't doing what I really, really wanted to do. I felt really low because I wasn't putting my degree to use, and it wasn't my passion. I was talking to people, which is a very big passion of mine, but it wasn't actually, I didn't feel fulfilled. I wasn't actually putting everything that I'd learned to work. So I ended up going abroad working abroad, went out there. I went out to Cyprus actually and took my laptop and just worked for myself and went around all the restaurants and was like, hey, I can design your logo, I can do this, I can do that. I just hustled and I made a nice amount of money, had a nice place out there. Then I spent it all on booze and partying, as you do when you're 21. Came back to the UK, carried on working in the phone shop for a little bit, and then found a local job in the local marketing agency called Volume, who are just not, who used to be around the corner from me actually, but they work more remote now. And I was there as a designer, and at the time I just wanted to get my foot in the door. More than anything, I just wanted to get my foot in the door. I just really, really wanted someone to just give me a chance, just to, no, I've got so much more to give this world. Like, please, someone just believe in me. And I'm sure there's so many people who are, you know, at that point, who come out of uni this year and or come out of education and just, you know, really want someone to believe in them too. Finally, someone did, which was amazing. And I was a designer, junior designer, right at the bottom of this company, like literally right at the bottom. It was about 100 people company. But and I was the only woman on the creative team as well, which, you know, oh, great, yeah, I'm the only one. This is good. This is great. I'm going to make the most of this. And yeah, to be honest, I was doing all this design work and stuff, like big companies as well, big sort of tech companies, big, you know, IT companies like Dell. But I just wanted to, yeah, just wasn't. I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it really. I did it, and I did, you know, did good work and stuff, but I just wasn't really feeling it. Had this idea for a business called Pink Mothballs. Later rebranded Fashionably Skin, and it was all my friends kept nicking my clothes and never giving them back. So I really wanted, well, I just thought, do you know what, there's got to be an app for that. And had this idea to, yeah, create an app that would it was mainly for me, to be honest, but I actually, after speaking to some friends, identified that, you know, there's an opportunity to extend our wardrobes and, you know, make the most of swapping, borrowing, and lending clothes, but extending that through our circle of friends. So yeah, I came up with this idea, and fast forward a little bit, realized that it wasn't, you know, I really wanted this thing, and I thought it was the most amazing idea since sliced bread, but no one else really did. And it's because I was talking and communicating to the wrong people and telling the wrong story. After rebranding and repositioning as Fashionably Skin, where we actually positioned this business to students, because they were the ones that wanted to look fashionable and they were the ones that were skin. So it made so much sense to actually create something for them and to really kind of scale it across universities in the UK to begin with. That attracted investment. And again, that moment of, oh my God, someone believes in me, someone believes in this idea. Oh my God, I'm not going crazy in my head, like, you know, staying up God knows how many hours each night. Someone actually believes in this idea, which is the most incredible feeling when you're literally busting your ass trying to bootstrap, get something off the ground, invest in your own money. Like all of my money that I'd make from the phone shop working part-time, I would literally put into this. And that was all money that I could have been putting down to save for a house and all that, but I chose not to. I chose to invest in my dream, which also, you know, really connects with investors as well, because they want to see that you are, you know, you're in it for real. So I guess the vision thing and lost sort of sight of losing sight of that connects to me being offered investment and taking it, but there was a price for that. Like even though I got the investment through, I basically sold my soul, but in a way I kind of did, because my vision, I had a vision for the business, but then the vision started to be skewed, and you know, it was basically, you know, if you don't come with us and follow our vision, then you're not going to be successful. It was conversations like that really, which kind of made me feel like I had no choice. I was really desperate to make this thing work. I'd already got it off the ground and invested so much of my time, energy and money into it. I wanted this to be successful more than anything in the world. And what success looked like for me at that point was people using this app and loving it and caring about it as much as I did. And I wanted it more than anything. And I didn't care in the end. I was just like, I want this to work. I want this to succeed. So yeah, I guess I believed them. I was naive and yeah, I guess I'm not ashamed to say that I wanted it so bad. And yeah, ended up having to completely changed the business model, which in the end I kind of did really, I started to warm to, because again, you're kind of in it, you know, that passion for wanting it to work was in it. But yeah, it all kind of blew up in my face 2 weeks before launch, when my investor fell out with my tech developers and then pulled the plug on the investment, and I was left with a lot of debt and a lawsuit over my head. So and that was around 26, 27 years old, and yeah, feeling pretty helpless and alone.
I can imagine that had to be a very difficult time, but obviously we'll get to the point where you got through it. You know, now that it's, 10 years later and you are where you are now with 5 stories, which we'll talk about in more detail, shortly. Did what happened to you, which you just described back then, getting knocked down, make you much stronger today?
Yeah, do you know what? I think I think everything, every knockback, every time you fall, you get back up, and you're I don't necessarily think it's strength. I think it's just wise. You just know, you just know what not to do next time. You learn from it, right? I think that's the gift that has come out of every single bruise and scar that I've got, that I've gained throughout my whole journey getting to this point, as an entrepreneur, as a creator, as someone that is just following her dreams and her passion and just hoping for the best. I'm very, very lucky to have the lessons and the learnings that have come out of each and every single experience that have made me who I am today. And yeah, I'm very proud of that. I wear those stories, and I wear them as badges of I'm proud. It makes me who I am. So
Speaking of entrepreneur, you said, quote, entrepreneurship is a very vulnerable place, unquote. What does that mean to you?
I think, to be an entrepreneur is someone that's making things. You're making something for someone. And when you make something for someone, you've got, not everyone's going to want it. Not everyone's going to like it. Not everyone's going to want to have that in their life. And that's a vulnerable place to be, for you to put so much heart and soul into something, to create something from scratch, and then people not care about it as much as you do, or not want it as much as you do. Like, it's a vulnerable place to be. And also, when it comes to being an entrepreneur, like, what does that really mean? It means that you're doing something before you're even ready, let alone the world's ready. Like, you're not even ready for this, but you're going out there, you're standing in the ring, you're saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to be the one to create this, I'm going to be the one to make this, and I'm going to give it a go, and I might fail, but you know what, I'm going to learn something cool on the way, and that's going to make whatever I do next even better. So yeah, that's what I mean by vulnerability. I think vulnerability is, Brene Brown says this really well, like, you can't get to, like, vulnerability is the door to courage. You can't have courage without vulnerability. Like, it is being courageous, it's being brave, it's saying, hey, yeah, like, I'm here, I'm doing this, like, I'm going to be the creator of this thing. And that's scary, man. That's scary, because it's very likely that you're going to fall and fail, and it's going to hurt. So yeah, I guess that's what I mean.
In 2015, you started up the company Fashionably Skint. You had that business for a little bit over 2 years. What did you do there?
Yeah, so that was the pivot. Like, I say pivot, I mean, it's just kind of like a buzzy word that we use in the startup world, but by that I mean we just,
I know that word. I know what that means. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's like pivot. Some people use it in this context, some people don't. Good, I'm glad. So yeah, pivoted the Pink Mothballs business to Fashionably Skint after that kind of hard lesson of realizing that, okay, you've made something that you really believe in, that you think needs to exist in the world, but what about the people? Like, who are the people you're actually creating this for? Get clear about that. Really get to know them and understand what this product, what the service means for them. You need to get clear about that before you take something to market, because you could waste a lot of time and energy, which I did, by the way, creating something that people, they think it's cool and they think it's interesting because it's not been done before. So they're like, oh, what's this hype? But is it really going to add value to their lives? Is it actually going to make a difference in some way, big or small? Well, you're not going to know unless you actually do the work. And yeah, so I guess it was, I didn't really know what I was doing at the beginning of my entrepreneur my journey as an entrepreneur. I just had this idea. I believed in it so much and I wanted it to be made. I wanted to make it a thing. It was an idea. I wanted to make it real. So I went on that journey, made it real, and then no one wanted it really as much as I did. So I had to pivot it to, well, I had to listen, learn about who we were creating this for off the back of the very small number of users that we had on Pink Mothballs, understand what they loved about it, what they did and what they needed, what they didn't, and then pivot the business and rebrand it and repackage it so it actually connects more to them on an emotional level, and then build it that way.
Paul Cash, author of the book Humanizing B2B, said of you, quote, "There is just one word to describe Amanda: contagious. When you meet her, you'll realize why. She has that rare energy to light up a room and spread her love of life and marketing to every willing soul she meets. In fact, after 2 years of working with Amanda, I was so impressed I decided to go into business with her. I can't give a higher recommendation than that, a definite woman to watch in the creative agency space. If you get the chance to meet or work with her, then this testimonial will ring louder than a church bell," unquote. You know, that says a lot about you, Amanda. It sounds like that enthusiasm is a big part of, what's contagious about you. Is that true?
Yeah, I guess so. I think I hear a lot of people say, and that's a lovely quote actually from Paul. A lot of people do say to me, they're just like, and I hear this a lot, "I love your energy. I love your energy. Like, I love it." And yeah, it's really interesting when people say that, because I'm not always like this. There are times where I'm like, I'm really high energy when I'm around people, when I'm in connection with people, when not all the time, but I like to, I love to lift people. I love to lift people up. I'd love to like pump people up and just like, yeah, inspire. And that's something that's always been a constant in my life in terms of what I want to do and why I'm here and how I want to show up in the world. But yeah, it's really lovely to sort of hear that. I haven't had that for a long time because Paul and I haven't spoken in a very long time as well. So it's really nice to kind of hear those words again.
Quote, "It isn't about you. It's about your customers. People buy into emotions, feelings, better visions of themselves," unquote. As another quote of yours, a lot of companies, they don't focus as much as they should on their customers, and they don't have that emotional connection to them. How are you able to do that so well?
Listen. I think it's just listening to people. And yeah, I think when it comes to communicating your business to people, I think the first thing we can all do better, myself included, is listen to them, to understand who they are, where they are emotionally, and what they need and what matters to them. And then okay, we know that about them. Let's show them that we've listened. Like, it's so basic, it's so simple. I say it's basic, it's not basic, but it is simple. But we're all busy trying to get our businesses and our content seen and heard by the world that we forget to do the most simple, necessary thing, which is to listen.
You work with, different companies over the next several years and had a few more businesses of your own before you started 5 Stories in mid 2018. What did you learn from some of those mistakes that you made before that helped you get to the point of launching this new business?
What did I learn? So much stuff, I guess. So which businesses are you talking about here? Is this
the one after Fashionably Skint, the few things that you did before 5 Stories?
What did I learn? I mean, I guess it comes, so Fashionably Skint, to the other businesses that I co-built, because I had co-founders there. They were agencies, they were creative branding and like creative communication agents. So basically, like I started, so from the experience of Pink Mothballs, Fashionably Skint, and when everything kind of, I touched on it earlier, when my investor kind of pulled the plug, or not kind of, they pulled the plug on the investment, and I was in this kind of, oh my God, who am I? Like, my identity. And I think that's what a lot of, we don't realize enough, or we don't talk about enough, is that a founder, creator, an entrepreneur's identity is so connected to their business that when it doesn't work and it doesn't, go the way they planned, lose money, investment, have to like let their team go, lots of stuff can get messed up in that sort of vision. And that journey is the impact, the emotional impact that has on the person that created it. And I really felt that from that whole kind of identity crisis moment of, wow, for so many years, my identity has been connected to these businesses. I've been Amanda, founder of Fashionably Skint, Amanda, founder of Pink Mothballs. Now I'm Amanda ... Like, who am I? Like, what's my meaning in the world? What's my purpose in the world now? I don't have one. I felt like I didn't have one anyway. So, you know, you have to do all that kind of inner work and stuff like that. And I took some time out and some created space to really kind of think about, you know, what did I learn? What was the part of that whole experience and that journey that really, you know, like lit my heart up and my soul and made me just feel like really connected to the world in different ways. And that was ultimately to create what I really love is I love the branding side of it. Like, to, again, it comes back to this creating something from scratch, like giving something meaning. Like, I guess that's my thing. When I think about my whole story, like what I'm actually really doing and what I've learned to, I guess, I've really tried to learn and master is finding the meaning of things, like helping things to connect back to the meaning so people connect with it better and more. And branding was kind of like my way to start doing that. And by branding, I mean, I don't just mean a visual identity, like the look, like the Nike swoosh or things like that. I actually mean the personality of the brand, the way the brand communicates, the words the brand use. How, you know, if that brand was a person, how would they show up in the world? How would they communicate? What would they say versus what they wouldn't say? You know, what would they associate themselves with versus what they wouldn't? What are their values, aka the things they care about? How does that show up in the day-to-day communications with people that they exist for? And yeah, I guess I just was like, okay, I want to know and learn how to build brands. Like, I want to figure that out. I want to learn that because I'm doing it, but I don't know the actual principles of doing it. I just did it. So I wanted to go and so I went and found a job and worked in a very small boutique agency. Went from fashion to fintech, and fintech kind of completely blew my mind because I had no idea all of these buzzwords and acronyms. But anyway, that was my gift, because I'd come into these workshops with all these board level CEOs and CTOs, and they're all using this gobbledygook, and I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. You're trying to communicate to people and get them to open up a bank with you. Like, are you shitting me? Like, I don't even get it. So they're not going to get it. And I guess that just kind of became my thing a little bit. I was just always trying to find the meaning behind stuff and trying to really simplify and humanize the language behind these tech companies and these new businesses that are trying to change the world and make it better in some way, big or small. Worked with Paul and another guy called James, who was his business partner. And a year into that, I was there. I was one of their strategy team members, and then kind of just ended up leading it all. And then ended up going into business with him and starting up a company, because I was bringing in new business from the sort of early stage startup, scale up businesses that were sort of in the early days, whereas the company that I was working with them for, called Roosterpunk, they were working like the Samsungs, the KPMGs, the big ones, which I worked on too. But I was really, I loved all the smaller underdogs. I loved all the smaller kind of new challenger brands, some people call them, and the, you know, purpose-driven, impact-driven brands and founders. I loved working closely with founders because I could relate. I had that empathy story, you know, I was on a level with them and it just made sense. So they obviously saw the, you know, they saw that was a good opportunity and were like, yeah, let's set up another agency, call it Flamingo Punk. Would you like to co-found it with us? Yeah, cool, sounds great, because I'm actually getting itchy feet. I want to be a business owner again, because, you know, what's the point in working for someone else's dream when you can work for your own? And then did that, and pandemic hit, found a misalignment. You know, they had another business to look after and support, and you know, we, I guess, needed support that they couldn't give us at that point. So we separated and went our separate ways. And me and one of the other guys, we set up another company called Makers Care. Built that during lockdown 1 and 2. I don't know how many you had over there, but we had 1, 2. It felt like it was just like a never-ending lockdown, if I'm honest. Then it got to last year, around sort of May time last year, and I was just, something doesn't feel right. Something just doesn't feel right for me. And I ended up just, me and my ex-co-founder, we just ended up separating. He took the agency that we'd built together, and I took 5 Stories because that was my thing. And something was just telling me, no, you need to take that. And I guess you asked me, what did I learn from the sort of fashion biscuit and pink mothballs days? You know, you have to, it's so easy to create a business that is doing lots of different things for lots of different, you know, clients or customers or whatever, but you just got to focus. You've got to focus and really know your audience, really know your customer, and create something that is gonna really make a difference to their lives. And you know, that starts with really listening and really kind of focusing on your, not necessarily niche, but yeah, just focus and get clear. And that's what I've done with 5 Stories. I've noticed a really big problem in the world to do with connection. You know, this whole connection crisis thing that we're all experiencing on different levels. And I'm just like, bloody hell, like, why has no one created a map for storytelling yet? Why has no one actually figured this out? Why is no one doing, like, there's all these books around telling stories and, you know, the hero journey and all this kind of stuff, which is completely, you know, that's a way of looking at it and a way of packaging it. And I'm not saying that's wrong. It's not. It's right, but it's not enough. And that's what I'm saying. It's not enough. It's not clear enough. It's not simple enough. It's not accessible enough. And that's why I think 5 Stories is going to be, you know, well, my plan is to make it a, you know, something that's going to be around when I'm not. So I'm the creator of it, but I'm not the person that's going to be taking that forward. And that's what excites me.
I really like this one here. Quote, I had to hit the rock bottom to realize that there is another way of doing things. I call it the quote, conscious hustle. What is the conscious hustle?
It feels like a, you know, the conscious, it's like a shuffle, you know, what's that song? There's a song, isn't it? Oh, I don't know what it is, but I'm going to have to find it and send it to you because there's a song that just, yeah, rings in my ear. I think it's something that we all experience when we don't really know, and we're not, yeah, when we're trying to figure out our thing, and when we're trying to get something off the ground, or whether, you know, I think we hustle when we don't know who we are yet. We hustle when we don't really know what to do yet. We're just trying to figure things out and get something off the ground, get ourselves off the ground. And I think, but I also think hustling, there's lots of negative connotations around that and feelings and vibes. And I think actually, like, hustle is necessary at the beginning of a journey, because hustle gets things moving. Hustle is the thing that happens when you're so passionate about something, you want something so bad to happen and to be made in the world, or to be something, you hustle to make it happen, to make it work, to get it off the ground, to get it moving. But the problem is, if you don't hustle consciously, so if you hustle kind of mindlessly, like without actually stopping and thinking, why am I doing this? You know, what's the point of this? What's the purpose of this? You can end up getting in a mess with it. You can end up doing things and focusing your energy on things that actually don't necessarily need your energy and your time. And that can lead to burnout. And burnout is when you're spending your time and your energy on things, on too many things. And it's, you know, going to lead to you feeling exhausted and burnt out in the end, because, you know, it means that you can't even do the basic things, and like cook your dinner or even run a bath. Like, you know, it can lead to stuff like that. And I think, yeah, hustling consciously was just my way of looking at it and being like, no, hustle is important for us to have. And I think, you know, if we're passionate about something, we, you know, and I don't necessarily think it comes down to enjoying what you love doing, but, you know, we all want our work and we all want to mean something. We all want to feel useful. We all want to do work that has meaning and a point to it. And, you know, hustle is something that we all easily fall into this state of hustle, but consciously hustling is a different kind of way of thinking about it. Consciously hustling is asking that question, okay, why am I doing this? How am I feeling? Not stopping, but okay, how am I feeling right now? Do I feel tired and exhausted? Do I actually feel like I'm getting somewhere, or am I just in this kind of zone of just being pulled left, right, and center into this space? And actually, do you know what? I've forgotten what the meaning of all this is. Like, I've lost sight of actually the purpose behind this and the vision where we're going. Like, you know, it's a mess. Like, when you're not hustling consciously, it can just get messy and you can get stuck. And yeah, that, you know, for me to really figure that out, the rock bottom bit is like, the burnout is the working so hard without question, working tirelessly without question. And again, it's just because I haven't experienced, and I guess it comes down to what does success really mean? And I think when you look at LinkedIn, when you look at the world out there, success means more likes, more followers, more sales, more money, more this, more that, more more awards, more podcasts, all of this stuff. That's what success looks like, right? Success looks like being known and making money and people using your product and service, and like having books, being on TED Talks, like being on stages, like that's success. And I haven't. Yes, I've been on talks. Yes, I've been on podcasts. Yes, all of that kind of stuff. Yes. But it's taken me a long time to get there, and I'm still on my way. And I think it can be really easy to just get yourself, to compare yourself and to, just get yourself into this mess of hustle without meaning. And that's where the conscious hustle comes in. And I've definitely experienced the burnout a few times now, and I have to always kind of pause and stop myself. Even today, I've been onboarded someone new to my team, and all I want to do is write my book. I'm really struggling to create the space in my day to write my damn book. And I've been writing this bloody book for a few years now, and I'm still only a few chapters in. And I can see it, I can hear it. It's like keeps me awake at night. I'm just like, I need to get this bloody book out. But it can be hard. It's hard when you're in the thick of it. It's hard when you're also a founder and you haven't got a co-founder. It's hard when you're trying to get everything off the ground. We've got budgets when you haven't got, like six-figure like money coming in. It's hard. And the hustle just connects to the passion and the success that you really want to come out of the work that you're doing. And it's just practicing the conscious hustle is something that I'm doing every day, trying to do every day. And I'm on my way. So
you said, quote, build a brand, tell stories that your customers can relate to, make them feel heard, valued, and understood. Your brand is all about them, not you, unquote. You've said that, quote, branding is the heart of your business, unquote. I've always thought branding is just super duper important, and how do you help, people and companies do that to get the best results with 5 stories?
Yeah, so I think, and you're right, branding in companies is so important. Branding is the thing that gives when done right, when done well, gives your company meaning and purpose beyond the product and the profit. It's if you want to create something that people want in their lives, which is the whole point of building a brand. Like, yes, it's the building the trust. Yes, it's the personality. Yes, it's having a consistent way to communicate. Yes, it's all of that. But ultimately, the point of building a brand is to create something that people want in their lives. And if you're not doing that, and if you're doing it for a completely different reason that isn't that, then I don't know what you're doing. But yeah, it's so important. I guess 5 stories. How 5 stories helps is it just comes down to, okay, well, stories build brands. And that was something that became really clear to me off the back of all the experience that I've had creating brands without knowing what I was doing at the time, creating a brand. I was doing it. And what I always found fascinating was, understanding the stories that make people feel seen, heard, and understood, understanding the stories that really connect with people, not on just a business to human level, but from a human to human as well. And I honestly believe that the 5 stories are the stories that make us who we are, that make our businesses what they are, that enable us to communicate in a way that people are like, hey, yeah, this company gets me, man. This company has been doing the work. They're listening to me. They understand me. I feel like I'm a part of their story and their journey. Like, yeah, I'm proud to be their customer. And that's what it's about. It's not enough to be just banging the drum for your product anymore and your features and your, what's so great about your service and all this kind of stuff. You need to be telling a story that people can see yourselves in. see themselves in. And the 5 stories just breaks that down, because when you think about, okay, you know, what's the story of a business? There's so many stories that create a business. There's so many stories that create a human. Like, what we are our stories. Like, it's as simple as that. But it's just like, okay, but what story? Which story do I tell? Because there's so many. There's so many doors to my story. What one do I tell? Who do I tell it to? And where do I tell it? And the 5 stories basically creates a map for that. And that's what let's say we're known by loads of people for that, but you know, that's what I'm working towards, to make sure that, you know, 5 stories is the thing. If you're building a business or setting up a business, or you want to create something that people want in their life, that you want people to want in their lives, then yeah, you need a business plan, but you also need your 5 stories.
You said, quote, LinkedIn is full of ego, the conversational stuff, the stuff that comes from the heart, the stuff that feels like you're speaking directly to me. That's the type of content we need more of. I want my content to be an invitation to lead in a different way, inspire millions, and make people feel less alone, unquote. How do you go about doing that?
Wow, you're quoting me in things that I forgot I said. Am I the only one that says that? I'm sure loads of people say that. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, I wrote that quite a while ago. I think it feels like a long time ago, but I think we're starting to see that change now. I think we're starting to see a lot of people, you know, saying it how it is, being real, being raw, being relatable. There's of course still ego, and ego is what, you know, we've all got ego. Like, ego is a fundamental part of being a human being. Like, we've got that, but I think it's just about learning how to communicate in that sort of vulnerable zone. I think that's what I'm talking about there, and it's something that I've always found, honestly, really easy to do. I guess throughout my journey in my career up to this point, I've been told that that's not what I should be doing, and been made in certain ways to feel alone and like I'm communicating wrong, that I need to be tougher, that I need to, you know, remove my tattoos, that I need to speak in a different way, that I need to dress in a certain way, that I need to show up in a certain way, that I need to be more like, you know, whatever you want to call it. And that's just never felt comfortable for me. And I guess now I'm starting to see, especially over the last sort of year or two, especially in the last year, like, the professional world is changing, and it's about bloody time. Like, you know, not just professional world, like the world. I think we just need, I think our stories will save us all, will really help us to solve some of these massive global problems, and will help us all to see that we have more in common than we think. I mean, that's the whole point of telling a story, right? To invite someone else to share theirs, because, oh, like, you don't have to hold it inside anymore. You don't have to hide it anymore. You don't have to keep thinking like you're alone in this life experience anymore, because you're not. Yeah, I think the more we can learn how to tell our stories, I think the world will be a better place because of it.
I like this. I prefer simplicity. That's what you said. What does that mean to you?
I mean, just keep it simple, keep the language simple, keep the way you explain things simple. I think it's easy to, and I've been guilty of this and still am to a level in some ways. You know, I think communicating in a simple way and keeping it simple is caring. It is showing that you care about the listener. And I don't think we do that enough. I don't think we care about the listener enough. I don't think we care about the audience enough. And I think we can do more. And this is where the conscious hustle comes in, because the mindless hustle and that, you know, that's just like, no, we just need to tell them about our product. No, we just need to tell them about the cool features. Who cares? Do you know that they even care about that? Like, you're using all these words that sound cool and sound like, yeah, they sound, make you sound, you know, superior, or, you know, like, I don't know what word I'm thinking about here, but just make them it sound better than it actually is, because it's a really fancy word. No, because that's coming from ego. That's like that's like a mindless hustle, which isn't caring about your listener or your audience. You need to, I think the simple stuff is the stuff that we all struggle to do. on some level, but I think it takes practice, it takes practice. And yeah, I like to think that the 5 stories can really help businesses to connect to the story that really matters and help them tell it in a way that is simple enough so their audience will really understand. And ultimately the end game is to really authentically connect with people to make them feel like they're a part of your journey or they're less alone.
In August, something really exciting happened for you that sort of changed your life a little bit. And I guess your last name too. What was that?
Yes, I got married, which is so
Congratulations.
good. Thank you so much. Yeah, I married my, it's like sounds corny to say your best friend, but he is ultimately, he is my best mate.
That's awesome.
I don't like to say soulmate because I'm still trying to figure out what that even means, but he's definitely my best friend, someone that I can he's been through a lot with me over the years, and we finally got to tie the knot after a few years of delays because of COVID. But so my surname now is Harrison, which I haven't updated. I mean, blimey, like you don't think about that.
Right.
I mean, I've got so much paperwork here and so many things I need to update my name on. Ryan, my husband, which sounds so weird, is my husband. He's just like, why haven't you changed your name yet? I'm like, hold up, like, why don't you change your name? What's it on me? Why can't you be Ryan Baker?
That's funny.
But I do like Amanda Harrison. I think it's got a nice, gives me an opportunity to create a redesign how I shop in the world, which I think is always a good thing.
Well, congratulations to both of you guys.
Yeah.
What are the most important lessons you've learned in life?
Oh, there's been a few, but I guess the most important lessons are I think patience. That's a big lesson, especially if you're an entrepreneur. Patience has been a really big one for me, because everyone, I'm 35 and now I'm married, which is amazing. Like, I really do want to have children at some point. I really, really do. But I feel like I do have a lot more to do before that. But of course, I'm a woman. There's only there's amount of time that you literally biologically have to make that happen. So there's lots of stuff there. But I guess when I look on LinkedIn, like, there's so many incredible people who are at least 10 years younger than me, who are showing up, building their businesses, doing their thing, telling their stories. Oh my days, like, it's so inspiring. It's so incredible to see. And of course, getting the attention they deserve because they're showing up and they're being real and relating to people, which is amazing. And I guess, I'd be lying if I'd say I'd look at that and I'd be like, yes, I am happy for them, but also I'm sad for me because I'm just like, oh, I'm to get to even where I am now. Wow, I'm literally like burnt out. God knows how many times. I'm launching my 5th business next year. Like, it's been a mad one. It's been a mad one. So it is it's been interesting to kind of navigate inside, I guess, on an emotional level. But one thing that I have learned is that patience is really big, because, and also that understanding of everybody, it was a very different world when I was started as an entrepreneur. Very, very different world. And everyone's got their own backstory. Everyone's got different experiences, right? And everyone also has their own pace. Everyone's got their own pace. Everyone's got their own lane. And that's something that has really helped me to just, everybody reaches their version of success in their own way and at their own pace. And that's okay. And that's good. So yeah, the patience around that whole, like, I really want to, I guess more for me, it's always been, I want my work and my life to mean more. to mean something, to really make a difference. I've always kind of wanted that. But yeah, there's no buts. I'm on my way, and that's something that I'm learning to remember and be patient with every single day. The other lesson, I guess, is celebration. Celebrating and encouragement is massive for me. I learned that from my granddad when I was growing up, and he always used to celebrate my creations and my paper mache pig, and my song about party boy, and all of these things that I just used to create and make. These little jack in the boxes I used to make out of like toilet roll, middle of the toilet, like the toilet roll thing, the middle of a toilet. Anyway, he used to just celebrate and encourage me to keep showing up and create stuff, and just always used to like make me feel, especially even just putting it on display, and I'd be like, yeah, my granddad wants it and he loves it, that's enough for me. And that's great. He's sadly not with us anymore, but that was a big one. And another one, I guess, was gratitude, the lesson of gratitude, and really just remembering to be grateful for where we are, what we've done, what we've achieved, and just for being here and having this opportunity to be here, to do something, to make something, to be something, I think is really important.
Great, thanks. How can people find you and follow you on social media?
I've been taking a bit of time out. You may have noticed I've not really been sharing stories recently, but that's all going to change. You can find me on Instagram at Amanda Tells 5, as in the number 5 stories, and also on LinkedIn. Well, it's Amanda Baker, but it will be changed to Amanda Harrison. And if you check out the banner, it will say something about 5 stories, so that will be how you can know that it's me. And yeah, that's literally where I am. I don't really show up anywhere else. That might change in the future, but I think it's important to make sure that we spend our time in the right places and tell our stories in the right places too. So yeah, LinkedIn and Instagram is where I'm going to be at.
Awesome. I think this business concept is exceptional. I mean, and, I've done some of this in my past businesses that you talked about, but not near to the extent of what you've designed and laid out here. I can see, really big things ahead for you with, 5 stories and, the new company you're launching too. And I look forward to, watching your business continue to have success, from across the pond and grow. So I really appreciate you coming on today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed your questions, and thank you for asking them, and also reminding me of all of these things that I've said throughout my life that I completely forgot I said. But yeah, I've been inspired by my voice too. So thank you.
Awesome. My pleasure. You're welcome. Thanks again.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.